Hi there, I'm John from CNCKing.com, and today we're going to make this corner rounded shelving unit. I have a client who has a useless corner in their office and they wanted me to make something for them. And this is basically the spec that we came up with. Corners are generally a spot where you don't move around or do much. I made one about a week ago for my son actually, for another corner in his room. And it worked perfectly. You know, you turn a useless corner into something that's useful. In this case here, it's a home office. So they needed tons of more storage, and that's what that is here. There's a window just to the left of this. So there was a height component that they wanted to make sure it was at. That means they could put their printer on the top of it. It's totally solid. I could probably stand on this and it wouldn't go through. So it just gives you an idea. It was made using 5/8 MDF, and it's been painted with 2 coats. Now you'll notice, maybe it's hard to see on the video or not, but you'll notice all these little holes here. And what those are for the shelves. So the client can adjust the shelves wherever they want, and for additional storage space, or if they end up being very, very efficient with their storage and they want even more shelves made, I can make them here at the router using the same material, same paint, and then ship them over to them. Now the nice thing about this is that it's a very solid design. This here in the middle is actually gone into the sides. So that means it's fully supported on 3 sides. Now you don't want to put like 500 pounds on the front here because obviously there's nothing really supporting that. If you had a requirement where you had something heavy, then probably what I would do is end up putting one more little rod all the way across the top, and that would give it plenty of support. So before I do any router work or new router work, generally what I do is I skim off the top of my spoil board on my CNC router. That's what you see happening here. You see there's actually some paint on there before, and what the skimming does, it removes a 1/1000th of an inch off the top, and that removes everything, gives me a nice clean surface that's flat and parallel, so that whenever I do work with it afterwards, everything is flat and parallel and accurate. Now the advantage of that is it means I have a 5x10 foot table in the shop that I can actually use for a lot of different projects not related to CNC routering, like painting, staining, and so forth. And I sort of fell onto that by accident just because I was looking for a huge table to do a lot of work on, and I just could not, I don't have room in the shop to put another 5x10 table. And so I looked at my router and I thought, there's a 5x10 table, and any sort of damage I possibly can do to the spoil board doesn't really matter because by its own definition, it's a spoil board. It's shaved down until almost nothing. Then I get a new 5x10 sheet, cut it in half, and I have 2 different 5x5 tables again to do all new work with. So that's the advantage of using this table. It's just wonderful for so many other uses other than CNC routering, although it is an amazing CNC router at the same time. Now what I'm doing here is painting the surfaces, and by the time I got to the end of doing it, the nice thing is that I was able to go back and give another coat because the paint dries so fast during the summer in the shop because it's so hot. And what I'm doing here is adding a lot of glue, and what that glue is will hold the cork board down. And I also put a lot of staples all the way across the cork board to make sure that it stays flat and glues properly. The custom furniture I'm making as part of this office actually is the corner unit that we're showing now, but also this pegboard or cork board that would also go against the wall. Now, one thing I don't like about this is that because of the size, I needed to use 2 different sheets of cork, and as a result, you'll notice that there's a seam here, but there was really no way around not having a seam. One way would have been actually get a piece of cork that was big enough, but I couldn't find anything that size. This thing is actually pretty big, and as a result, you end up with a seam. Now, even with the seam, I don't think it matters too much, because at the end of the day, the customer is going to be filling this up with stuff anyways, and the first spot you start filling stuff with is at the seam. And the reason why you see the seam is because the cork, although it is very small and granular, that when the grains don't match up, your eyes right away notice that there's something different. So a way around that would have been to hide it, and the way you hide it is you actually had maybe another border like this across here, and then you would never notice there was a seam because it's not there. But just as soon as you have mismatched material, and of course with cork you'll never have a butterfly effect or anything like that. It's just that's the way it is. That's one of the limitations of cork. The thickness of the cork is roughly 6 millimeters or 1/4 inch. And the back here is the same as the corner unit, which is 5/8 MDF. I did carve out a pocket. So this is actually fitting inside of a pocket, and this will go against the wall. And I applied tons of glue all over it, so it's very solid there. But I also put carpenter's staples all the way around the perimeter, again, just to make sure nothing absolutely moved over time. I tend to overbuild things, and I prefer doing that than underbuild, and then you end up with a lot of problems down the road. I've actually made quite a lot of custom furniture through the years, and that's one reason why I've gotten myself into welding so much, because I want to start making custom furniture that really is like, wow, I've never seen anything like that before, using a mixture of metal, wood, plastic, glass, a whole bunch of different CNC platforms, and also some power tools and manual work as well. And I find that that's a huge area of growth that's a possibility for me if I could get everything to work the way it should work. And I think I have enough experience now to do that. And I really am excited to start doing that, because that means that literally I can design any kind of custom furniture using any mix and match of any materials you could possibly imagine, and actually had it all work and hold itself properly. Because I've gained an understanding of how to design for each material and how to cut it properly and so on and so forth, and have it adhered to. And the strength of steel is amazing. So the reason we went with MDF for this project here was basically budget. I can make this out of stainless steel, like I can make it out of mild steel, I can make it out of live edge wood, I can make it out of anything. But MDF is a special kind of material because it's handmade, it's very, very consistent, and it's very cost effective as well. And it also sands very well, and it loves paint. So for all of those reasons, that's why we ended up going with MDF. Now the nice thing about MDF is, although it is a little bit heavy, you don't have to worry about it, canting over or something like that. If it was made out of pine or something like that, it wouldn't be as strong. And of course, when it comes to MDF, basically any sort of design components you think of, I pretty much make for you. Now again, just going back to the holes here, I actually have 2 sets. So it's not just here that's supported, it's here, 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 here. So there's 4 points of contact with it for each shelf. Now again, the front here does not have something, so that's just where you need to be a little bit more careful. But the rods that I use for this are metal. So if they're supported by 4 sides and you don't have more than like 50, 60 pounds, you're totally fine with something like this here. Now, we didn't do holes in it. Just generally what I like to do, just give it more of an airy sort of feel, and also reduces the weight. No holes because it's in a corner and there's crown molding and other molding on the floor. There's not really much of a point, you won't see much anyways. So that's why it's a solid design as you see here. So if you want custom MDF furniture or any other material, contact me at CNCKing.com. I can help you with the design process, fabrication, and shipping it right to your door.